All right. Well, good afternoon. My name is Tracy Nyer. I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you who are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one consulting services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Virginia's for craft beverage lovers, how producers can leverage VTC resources, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network and the Craft Beverage Assistance Program. We're recording today's presentation. It'll be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those in the Q&A box. We also have enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your Zoom meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our panelists for today's session. Staci Martin, Marketing Grants Manager with Virginia Tourism Corporation's Partnership, and Chris Van Orden, Manager of the Craft Beverage Assistance Program of the Virginia SBDC.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
Yep, I'm sorry. Please join me in welcoming our panelists for today.
Thank you, Tracy. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this conversation about the ways that Virginia's alcohol producers can leverage tourism to support and grow their businesses. As Tracy said, my name is Chris Van Orden, and I'm the manager of the Craft Beverage Assistance Program at the Virginia SBDC at George Mason University. The CBA program is designed to provide industry-specific guidance to Virginia's craft beverage sector. So today's program will be a free-flowing conversation about tourism in the Commonwealth and the resources provided by the Virginia Tourism Corporation, VTC. I'm just going to get out of the way right now, VTC. As Tracy mentioned, you can enter any questions you have in the Q&A function, and we'll do our best to answer them either during or after the webinar, as the conversation allows. So I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today, Staci Martin. As Partnership Marketing Grants Manager for VTC, she manages a variety of grant funding programs that assist destination marketing organizations, tourism development, and the tourism industry in Virginia. Welcome, Staci.
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad to be here. It's good to see everybody on the call. I recognize a few familiar names from the coastal Virginia region.
Wonderful. Well, to set the stage, can you share a little bit of information on VTC and what it does? And I'm actually going to pull up a couple of helpful slides just so you all have a reference point here. So go right ahead, Staci.
Okay, so Virginia Tourism Corporation is the statewide destination marketing organization. So our job is to promote visitation to Virginia, to get folks to stay longer and spend more while they're here. We also have a destination development team that can help localities create tourism action plans, can provide individual business assistance to help you think about, retention or expansion, can help you work with your local economic development authority or planning district commission if you're interested in expanding your business, expanding your product line. We do work closely with VDACs as well on some of their AFID programs. So consider us as a source to help you grow visitation to your business and also grow your business as a whole.
That is very, very helpful. So before we dive into particulars of all the VTC resources and services, can you give us some context on the state of tourism in Virginia, kind of where we're at these days?
Sure. In a few weeks, we'll actually have our 2021 revenue numbers. This is from a variety of categories, whether it's meals tax revenue, sales tax revenue, occupancy tax, gas and transportation purchases, and we'll be able to compare those to prior years. Initial data, it looks like we're on track to match 2019 numbers. So we're on track to match pre-pandemic where we were. Now we do know between 2018 and 2019, we were on a really good growth trajectory. So our hope is in 2023 that then we can start to build back and start to grow. Now, the great thing about Virginia is we've got some really good stuff coming up in terms of America's 250th. It's 2026. A lot of organizations and agencies are starting to prepare for that. We're starting to do quite a bit of international marketing, and we know that international travels like quality beverages. So you might want to think about how you can reach out to that international market. coming in. So we've got World Cup in the United States and North America, Central America 2026. A lot of folks will come in through the DC Gateway Airport. They have quite a bit of vacation time, might travel up and down I-95, New York, Atlanta, stopping at different communities in Virginia, wanting to get some of those tasty beverages. We also have Olympics in LA 2028. Again, people will come in through that Gateway Airport in DC. And then the entire America's 250th commemoration wraps up 2031 at Yorktown. So we've got a really good 5-year push. And then the prep years right now to really grow tourism in the region and really get those numbers way up. Recovery is looking really good. There is so much pent up travel demand. And I think we're also going to see a lot of drive market. If your flight is less than 8 hours, a lot of people don't want to deal with the airports right now. They're just going to get the car and drive, which makes it really good for us to hit that long weekend off-season travel, have folks leave their home on a Thursday and stay in our communities all the way through Tuesday.
That's great to hear, Staci. It sounds like a positive outlook. And I will say, if you haven't taken a look at the VTC's sort of research page, wealth of information, you can go down a rabbit hole. I know there's not a lot of spare time when you work in this industry, but definitely worth investigating what's out there. So there are a lot of VTC programs that are relevant to the craft beverage industry, including one that has a deadline coming up on September 20th. Can you tell us a little bit about the Microbusiness Marketing Leverage Program?
Sure. Well, the overall focus of that program is overnight travel. That's really what VTC's, bread and butter for the state in terms of revenue is getting folks to come in, spend a couple days overnight, travel around a city, they're eating, they're drinking, they're shopping. We also really want to bring in those out-of-state dollars. So we want to get those North Carolinians coming over to Virginia, want to get folks out of DC over into Virginia, and really create this collective economic impact through tourism. So for the first time, we've opened a micro business grant round. This is an offshoot of our normal marketing leverage program, but what we've done is we've lowered the award tier to $5,000. It can be a little bit daunting for a small business to apply for $20,000 or $50,000. So we see this as a gateway program for businesses to try and get this funding, get familiar with what VTC does, and then apply for some larger rounds in later years. So with this grant, you have to have 20 or fewer full-time employees. That means you can have up to 40 part-timers, and we count anyone 35 hours a week or under as a part-timer. So there's a lot of leeway there. Not the small business definition for the feds, which is under 500 employees. We're looking at really micro business here. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we keep this recovery trajectory going and the growth trajectory. So we want folks to focus on marketing basically September 1 of 2022 all the way through May 31 of 2023, really getting that off-season marketing, that holiday shopping, Valentine's Day, spring break, and on into early summer. These grants do allow a look back period. So if you've spent some advertising dollars hitting that off-season market all the way back to June 1, you can submit that for reimbursement, or you can use that as your in-kind match for this grant. So this grant does require in-kind match. It could be money that you've already spent on advertising. We do have a formula where you can value your social media followers and your website clicks. So you probably already have some match right there. If you've gotten some news media coverage on a website or in a magazine or in your local newspaper, you can count the ad equivalency as match. So you don't have to come up with $5,000 to get $5,000. You just have to show that you've gotten some marketing from different channels and it totals up to $5,000. The other thing is you don't have to apply for the full $5,000. Maybe that's a little bit daunting. Maybe you've got cash flow that you need to think about. You can apply for just a $1,000 award. Now with this grant, we are allowing you to request reimbursement as often as needed. What you need to do is send us evidence of your advertising invoice, the ad itself with the Virginia is for Lovers logo or some variation on there, and then we can process your reimbursement. So it is a reimbursement grant, but we are, we can process those as often as possible or as needed.
That's great. And what are some of the kind of allowable expenses under this grant program?
So we allow print media. So what we're wanting to do is people to select one in-state market they want to target and then one out-of-state market they want to target. So that could be print, that can be social boosting, Facebook, Instagram, Google. That could be bringing in an influencer, could be hiring a photographer. So you have content that you can use this year on into next year and the year after. All marketing type expenses. There is quite a substantial list of eligible and ineligible expenses. So make sure you do read over that. One of the great things you can do though is you can use this funding to have a rack card designed, printed, shipped to our central distribution center, and then placed in the welcome centers all across the state. So travelers that are stopping at those rest areas, stopping at those welcome centers can access your rack card and know exactly where your business is, get your social media handles and your website all in one place.
That's great. So this is just one of the many programs that are going to be relevant to this audience. Is there anything else you want to share on this program in particular, Staci? I know it's a lot of information, but we have a lot of ground.
Yeah, there is a lot of information. We've streamlined the application with a lot of drop-down boxes, so it can be kind of intuitive on what needs to go in which areas. The number one thing is you need to be listed on the state tourism website. That is Virginia.org. Listings are at no cost. You really should be on there if you're not already. It's really the catalog of everything to do in Virginia. Once you have a listing on there, you can start adding events. If you're having brewery festivals or certain bands coming to play, you can list each of those as separate events. And when someone's searching for things to do, your event and your location will come up. The other thing with this grant is we do ask for some performance measures, and we allow you to select those based on what you can track. So that might be the number of customers, that might be your per table average, that might be your meals tax revenue. So it's up to you on what performance measures you might want to select there. But this grant does close on September 20. So that gives you a little over a week to apply. Should only take about 90 minutes once you read over the instructions, do a little bit of market research. Should only take you about 90 minutes to fill out the application. Which
I'm sure is appreciated by everyone here. That's such a big hurdle for small businesses, making the time to apply for these grants. But I really appreciate, especially for this micro program, that it's a light lift, relatively speaking, when it comes to grants. It is competitive. The proposals are scored. We have about $750,000 to award in this round. So that's about $155,000 applications more if people aren't asking for the maximum award. That is good to know. So this is just one of the sort of grant programs that are out there. But many of VTC's grants don't go directly to the small businesses, but they still can benefit from that. So they might be able to plug into some regional projects. So can you share a little bit of details on some of the other programs that Virginia's alcohol producers should know about and how they might be able to get involved? Sure. So every year we have a grant round called Marketing Leverage Program grant. So oftentimes, organizations will apply for this, like the Craft Brewers Guild or the Wine Marketing Board or the New Distillers Board could apply for this program. Those are awards up to $20,000 for marketing the industry as a whole. Now, individual businesses can also apply for this program, but it does require partnerships that you're partnering with restaurants, with lodging, with retail, outdoor rec. So it's a little more robust than the micro business program. We also have a new program that we started this year. Next year will be our second round of that, specific to your locality's destination marketing office. So nearly every locality has a DMO, what they're called. Sometimes there's regional DMOs if they don't have one at the locality level, but I think nearly every area of the state is covered by a DMO, and that's funding that's specific to the DMO. I did these out of order, sorry. Where they are marketing the destination. We also have our special events and festivals program. This is great for brew festivals, for wine festivals, oyster festivals. The key with this one is that it has to be an established special event or festival. You have to have had it at least twice since 2016. And that way we don't really fund startup events with this funding. You can use the Marketing Leverage Program for that. But this grant does allow
funding for paying performers, paying your ASCAP fees, tent rentals, fence rentals, stage rentals, a little bit more event production than just marketing. But again, that's a really good one for your beverage festivals for sure.
Absolutely. I'm sure many folks who are on this call today have been putting on annual events for quite some time. So definitely be thinking about this. And I should say with all this, you don't have to be furiously scribbling. We're going to be sharing a couple of handouts afterwards for everyone who registered. So you'll have a nice, really kind of great cheat sheet on VTC resources here. So you don't have to capture it all.
So while we have the slide still up, you see the love letters there in the picture. We have these letters are available for rent for $500 for events and festivals at your location. We also have a $1,500 grant for any location that wants to build their own love letters specific to their location. So you can be very, very creative with these. There's about 300 across the state. They do drive visitation to your location. Once you build one, it is on our LoveWorks map. There are people out there that are trying to visit all 300 in a year or all 300 in 2 years. You put your social media handles on these and people just take their photographs at them all the time. So that is a separate grant program. It's not run through my office. It's run through our brand office. There are specific rules. They have to be a certain height. I believe minimum is 42 inches, have to be accessible to the public without having to pay a fee, usually in your parking lot or out front of your business. But again, they are a great way to get social media traction because people are tagging themselves in these pictures, tagging your business in the picture. And they're really unique to Virginia.
I love it. I didn't know about that one. That's very cool. Thank you. So I think that's basically all we need to say about the sort of grant programs at the moment. Again, we're just scratching the surface here.
We are.
But just want to put a couple in front of you that are going to be the most important for now. But that is also kind of hinting at the fact that beyond the grant funding, there's a lot of other things that VTC does. So what are some of the other tools and resources that VTC provides?
Sure. We have an excellent research tab on our industry website. So consumer side is virginia.org. That's where a potential visitor would go and get information about what to do when they're in Virginia. Our industry website is vatc.org. There is a research tab there that has travel profiles categorized by types of travel. There is a craft beverage traveler where you can take a look and see where they're coming from, how much money are they spending, what else are they doing if craft beverage is their main reason for traveling. Are they shopping? Are they kayaking, hiking, biking? There's different travel profiles based on your region of Virginia. There's coastal, there's Hampton Roads, Southwest Virginia, Southeast Southern Virginia, Central Virginia. So you want to take a look at those and see what our data looks like. If you're thinking about creating a robust marketing plan, take a look at those travel profiles and think about who you should use your limited marketing dollars and target those folks in those states or in those cities. Think about finding partners that are similar to what the travel profile says the visitor is doing while they're in your community. So if you're next door to an outfitter, maybe y'all partner and do a rack card together, or maybe you create a package. Or if you do, 5 kayak tours, you come over and get a free growler or something like that. So think about ways to create partnerships based on those travel profiles. We also have a lot of good economic impact data sorted by locality. You can see what revenues look like for your locality. In some ways, you might be able to, if you're a small town, figure out how much you're contributing to your town's revenue stream with that meals tax coming in and that sales tax as well. Also on our website, are social media tips, marketing tips. We have marketing co-ops where we buy down the cost of advertising, like on Travelocity, Blue Ridge Outdoors, Google, Facebook, Instagram. And so it costs you less if you go through our co-op site and get these discounts if you're doing some major marketing. We've bought down some of the minimums. It used to be a $5,000 minimum on Travelocity. Now it's only $500. So we're really trying to create some new entryways for businesses to get into some of that higher tier targeted marketing. So lots of good stuff on our page. You can also sign up for PR leads. So what this is reporters often email VTC and say, I'm doing a story on pumpkin beer. Well, we don't have the capacity to respond to all those types of emails. So what we do is you can sign up for our PR leads, and then you will get all these reporter inquiries sent to your inbox. Sometimes it's 1 a day, sometimes it's 5 a day. They won't be specific to craft beverage, they'll just be general, but you respond to the ones that seem like they might be a good fit. And it's a great way to get editorial. So I've seen unusual ones like who's got their brewery decorated for Halloween. And maybe you have pictures from last year, you send that in, and then you get some free remnant space in Southern Living or in Coastal Virginia Magazine. So signing up for those PR leads on our website is a really great thing to do. On the VATC.org website, you'll see an Essentials tab, and you'll just want to march down that list and sign up for everything on there. And that'll get you started.
I love it. That is a lot of homework for everybody. This is wonderful information to have, I should say, especially that earned media side.
Yes.
I know that not everybody has a ton of time, but rather than having to chase down people or spend significant sums of money to try and get attention, the interest is out there. I have a previous life in being in sort of in the beverage journalism space, and I can tell you, you are providing a solution if you are responding to their inquiries. So please sign up for those PR lead tips. Just having that centralized is fantastic.
And the other thing to do, every brewery should have Google Alerts set up. It's free through Google. It's an old school clipping service. You just set up google.com/alerts, and it will email you once a week or every day, depending on your settings, where your business is showing up online. So you could get written up by a journalist that you never even knew stopped by your location. And then you just retweet that out, and there's some good social content for you for the day. So set up those Google Alerts so you can start grabbing that content off the web.
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned the initiative around the love signs, which plays into one of the most successful state level branding campaigns out there. Virginia is for Lovers. So that is managed by VTC. Would you mind kind of sharing some ways that alcohol producers can be a part of the Virginia is for Lovers campaign?
Sure, absolutely. So our logos are available for request. Now you can only use them for marketing materials. We have Virginia is for craft beer lovers, Virginia is for spirit lovers, Virginia is for wine lovers. If there's one that you want to request, we've even done cheese lovers when we had a cheese conference, but if there's something special you want to request, there's a way to do that on our website. We'll review it and see if we want to grant you that request. In terms of apparel and merchandise, we have the Virginia store. Businesses are allowed to set up a wholesale account to buy all the merchandise and apparel at a lower price, and then mark that up and carry that in your gift shops. We do allow co-branding. So you could have, say, the Virginia is for craft beer lovers logo on the pocket of a t-shirt, and then your brewery or distillery's logo on the front, or vice versa. We do allow some of that, but you do have to use the Virginia is for Lovers apparel vendor. There's really tight copyrights. You don't want to get a letter from the Commonwealth attorney telling you not to use our logo in different ways. Apparel is very specific to the vendor. It's all trademarked. We have had a few distilleries like Cape Charles Distillery include the Virginia is for Spirit Lovers logo on their label. Now that does require your ATF review, but it is a neat way to get the brand out there. We haven't had discussions yet on whether or not we would allow your label printing costs as marketing expenses. That is something that is on my list to talk about after Cape Charles Distillery did do that. But that is something you can also do. That is a really iconic label. And if you're distributing out of state, that's a way for us to get the state brand out there, and then people to also recognize that and then want to come to your brewery as well. All our grant funded advertising requires that you use one of the Virginia's for Lovers logos in the advertising. So a great thing to do is just go ahead and put it on everything, because you never know when a grant round is going to open up. You don't know if you're going to get funding. And we always have a 3 to 6 month look back period. So if you had that logo on those ads, you can submit for reimbursement. So it's a good idea just to put them on everything. When you request them through our website, we'll send you a big zip file of everything you need to send to your graphic designers. It's all real easy to do.
That is very, very good advice. You know, when you have these grants that can look backwards,
Yes.
why not make yourself eligible? And I fully appreciate the point about being on the right side of IP issues. It's something that's very heady in this industry in particular. There's only so many names left. We've done another webinar on IP with USPTO. So if you haven't seen that one, feel free to tune in. Long story short, definitely an area to be very aware of. So this factors right into that. Make sure you're doing it the right way. You do not, especially want somebody from the state of Virginia knocking on your door.
That's right. That's right. That is a trademark copyrighted logo. So yeah, make sure you're following the rules.
Are there any other kind of resources that we haven't touched on yet? And you know, it's a great website, so a lot of this you can drill down on. But I think just since this might be some people's first interactions with VTC, are there other things that they should be mindful of?
I mean, there is so much that VTC does. We also house the film office. We work with film scouts. There's a film scout database that's managed by Virginia Tech. If you have some great photographs, you're in a historic building, you can work with us and we'll get those uploaded so those New York and LA film scouts maybe want to shoot some scenes in your brewery, which is really exciting when you get the chance to do that. We have brand management, we have digital marketing, we have print marketing, we have the travel guide, we have all the welcome centers. There is really a lot. If I was going to ask you to do one takeaway today, that would be to get listed on Virginia.org. Go ahead and get listed on the state website so potential visitors know you exist. You can link back to your own website. You can upload great photos. The second thing I would tell you to do is really start creating a bank of great, unique photos from your location. Neat angles, group shots, different people enjoying themselves, you know, folks at the food trucks that you might have outside, to really show what you have to offer to the new visitor. You're allowed 5 high quality photographs in your Virginia.org listing. So make sure you take advantage and list all 5 photos so people can really see what you do there in your location. And then from there, take a look at the grants, start tagging us in social media at Visit Virginia, #LoveVA. And that way, if you're tagging us, we may retweet it. It's not a guarantee because there's so much content out there. But then making sure that you're on our radar. One of the new things we're doing in these grants is we're asking for everyone's social media handles, and that we're providing those to our PR team and our social content team to start tracking who's getting grant money, who should we be sharing content with or about.
That's great. And I think we touched on the last takeaway, but I guess for just people who are just starting to think about tourism and how that factors into their business, are there any other things, whether it's VTC or just generally thinking that, you know, they have the chance to learn from an expert right here, right now? Are there any other last things that people should be thinking about if they're starting to build tourism into their business?
First thing you should do is take a look at your credit card data. Your credit card processing company should be able to give you your zip code data, and you might be surprised at how much out of region and out of state visitation you're actually getting. We consider out of region to be 50 miles or further. You might think, oh, you're just a place for locals where the locals hang out. They're coming from the neighborhood. But actually, when you get in that credit card data, you know, 25, 30% of your sales could be tourism based, in which case you want to build on that. So make sure you're tracking your credit card zip code data, and you're targeting those folks with social media boosts. You can use VTC grant money to pay for those social media boosts. And the other thing I would do is take a look at your web analytics as well. Make sure you are tracking zip code. If you do on your website, or at least state, take a look at your Facebook insights, your Instagram insights, and see who's following you from different states, because that's your target market. Build on that word of mouth, layered in with some paid advertising, and you'll see that start to grow.
That is very helpful. So, yeah, I think that's a great, you know, jumping off point. You know, I feel like people could probably learn a lot, but I want to make sure that we're, you know, giving people the actionable item. There's going to be a lot to digest here. We had a question come in about getting registered on Virginia.org for listings. Just procedurally, how does that happen?
So what you would do is you would go to vatc.org and you would click marketing, digital marketing, and then it says get listed on virginia.org. I don't know if I can put something in the chat. Can we do that? I think I can do that here. What'll happen is you'll apply for an account on virginia.org. It will take a day or two for our digital team to approve that. You'll get your approval, and then you can start building out your page on virginia.org. Consider it a mini web page. 5 photographs, a few links, some information about your business, and then you're ready to go.
Great. Do we have any other questions from the audience? I know this was a lot to take in, and we're going to be giving you back some time today, which I'm sure you all appreciate. But while we have Staci here today. Any other questions?
And while we're doing that, I've also launched a webinar evaluation. So as we're waiting for questions to come in, if folks can help us out by providing feedback on today's event, very much appreciate it.
I will share that we're seeing, quite a bit of interest in outdoor recreation. I used to be a park ranger for 10 years. And so it's really exciting for us to see this revitalization of outdoor recreation, because visitation was declining in state and national parks. And now with the pandemic, we're back to kids getting back outdoors with their parents, and they'll carry that on for generations. And we're also seeing that connection between craft beverages and outdoor recreation. So making sure you're connecting with your outfitters, with your state and national parks, with your hiking guides. I think that's really important for the craft beer industry for sure. Wineries too, we've got a lot of great outdoor space, making sure that people are aware of that. And distilleries as well. I got some great fire pit outdoor seating I've seen here and there around the state, just making sure folks know you have those outdoor options. I think is really important going forward.
Totally. There's another question that we got in. It was Staci, you can tell me if this is quite right, but for the micro grant, how sophisticated do the hub and spoke relationships need to be, aside from actual business names and not general industry?
So for the micro grant, we're only asking for 3 spokes. We're not asking for a full hub and spoke graphic like we usually do. We do want very specific business names, like who you would actually partner with. So in the spokes, don't put outdoor rec, hotels, retail, put, Jim's Outfitter, Joe's Cafe, and Susie's Lodging. Make sure that you're really naming those names that you're going to partner with.
And is there any other responsibility on their part for those other partners that are involved in that, or are there kind of ways that they can lift each other up as a part of the application?
We don't require any evidence of that partnership, just self-identifying that. In our larger grants, we do require those letters of support and they fully built out hub and spoke. But with this one, we wanted to be mindful of the time that small business owners have to fill it out. So it's just it's you're the lure, who are your spokes? And that's all you need to put in there.
I love it. Again, grant writing could be an onerous process. So I like that. Be mindful of that.
This is our first time doing a round like this. It's new for us. There could be some hiccups along the road, but our hope is to then open it again next year. So if you're not ready quite this year, look for it next fall as well.
And if somebody receives one grant, can they come back? I mean, you're trying to encourage people to step along from one grant up to the next.
Yes. So you're allowed to have multiple grants open with VTC at any given time. You're allowed to apply in January and early 2023. We'll have 3 types of grants open at once. You'll be able to apply for 2 or 3 of those, depending on your organization type, all at the same time. Last year, we did have some DMOs get all 3 sets of funding, which was great. So yes, you can have them open different ways. One thing we try and tell folks to do is really think about a phased marketing plan. So, for this micro business, it's your first step. Maybe you're just going to do some social media boosting and you plan to apply for the marketing leverage in January. That's up to $20,000. Then maybe you're going to do some website development. Maybe you're going to do some print advertising. And then maybe next fall, you'll do micro business again. What we don't want to see is the same thing in 2 open grant applications, right? No double dipping, no submitting the same invoice for 2 different grants. Just really think about how you can build your business and how you can build out your marketing in phases as each round opens.
That's great. I think we will do one last round of any other questions coming in while we we have the chance. And here's one more. Should we be focusing on marketing a specific event or program, or would a series or partnerships be competitive?
It's really up to you. You know, we just really want to see this off-season travel, September to May. So some folks, I've seen a few applications come in, they're looking specifically at 4 weeks of holiday shopping and holiday visitation. Some folks are looking at general 9 month of general destination marketing. It's really up to you on how you want to approach that.
Great. Well, with that, I think we will wrap it up. Again, thank you so much for those great insights, Staci, and thank you all for joining us for today's discussion. If this is your first time, we do host a monthly series. This is just one in that class of the Craft Beverage Conversation series. So you can look for details on October's webinar coming soon. But for now, I'd like to say thanks again, Staci, for your time and expertise.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you.